This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Hey everyone, I'm Ace of Clay. I'm a sculptor, and every week I make a new sculpture. Today I'm making a breathing grave. Yes, you heard that correctly. This is a grave that I'm sculpting that will have a motor in it to make it look like it's breathing. This project was inspired by Scary Halloween on TikTok and YouTube. She is a super talented creator who makes Halloween animatronics from scratch. She makes moving zombies, floating ghosts, and yes, a full-size breathing grave, which is where I got this idea from. And she makes everything look super easy and fun, so be sure to check her out again on YouTube and TikTok. And before we get started, don't forget to check out my brand new Winston the Rabbit Guide keychains. These are available right now at aceofclay.com. Each one comes in a collectible box that you can have autographed by me if you would like. It has a synopsis of the hidden world on one side, as well as his backstory. Out of the box, of course, he looks like this. He's super cute. He's barely 2 inches tall. The mask glows in the dark, and it comes with a lobster claw clip, a tiny hidden world charm, and the strap that has his name and the hidden world written on it. So if you want to grab one of these and take a Winston with you wherever you go, again, head on over to aceofclay.com and grab him before he's gone. And now without further ado, let's make a breathing grave. Alright, let's get started. Let's do the easy part first. I have a speed controller here with a 9-volt battery hookup and our motor itself. We're going to start by connecting the wires to our speed controller as indicated on the back. Black wires are negative and red ones are positive, so let's start by connecting our power supply. This is a super easy hookup because it doesn't require any soldering, you just have to tighten the screws. Once everything's connected, let's go ahead and give it a shot. There we go, our motor is turning, and the more we turn this knob, the faster it goes. Perfect, this is just what we need. Links to all these products will be in my description box below. Alright, now let's start building the chamber for everything that's going to house all of our little mechanical parts. I'm just going to make this out of cardboard because I'm going to cover it in clay later. So now we're just cutting out all of our pieces, making sure everything fits pretty good. I'm assembling a big rectangle. One part of it is going to house the battery, the speed controller, and the motor, and the other part is going to house the mechanism that creates the breathing effect. And everything is basically going to fit like that. Let's go ahead and create the housing around it. And on that back piece, I added a little hole for our speed dial to poke out. Now let's add a top to this part. Here I've attached a bamboo skewer to the motor with some rubber tubing. The skewer is going to spin in the grave cavity, and later I will add 2 pieces of clay to it that will press out of the fabric that will go over the top to create the motion effect. I'm getting way ahead of myself here, but I'm just trying to make this make sense for you. Now that all the mechanical elements have been established, we're going to start doing the cosmetics. I'm bulking out our grave with some aluminum foil, securing it with some painter's tape, and then we're going to bulk the rest of it out with some Super Sculpey Ultralight. I just want to create a sort of big mound of land. And while I've got my ultralight out, I've created the 2 shapes that will be glued to my skewer and press out of the fabric and make it look like it's breathing. Alright, now let's go ahead and get this baked. And once it's baked and cooled down, let's start adding some Super Sculpey all over this thing. Of course, we got to brush on some Bacon Bond to our cardboard first and get this thing covered. Now I'm going to create a little dent where the skewer is going to go into so that it doesn't move around. Now using a ball of aluminum foil, I'm going to start texturing the entire surface. Now let's make a tombstone. Because this is going to be a fairly large freestanding tombstone, I want to make sure I reinforce it with some cardboard. So we're just going to brush on some Bacon Bond after I got my shape cut out and cover it in clay. Once the front and back are covered in clay, we're going to blend the edges. To create a stone texture, I'm dabbing on this dollar store face brush. Now let's add a fancy beveled edge. Now let's blend everything together to make it look like one solid piece of stone. Now for the inscription, we're going to write RIP. I was going to do a funny name, but I just decided to keep it classic. Now I'm going to embellish things a little bit with a skull and some swirls. To finish it off, using my Explorer tool, we're going to add some cracks all over the place. Once the tombstone's done, we're going to pre-bake it so it's really easy to attach. For the next step, we're going to add a nice, creepy, weeping tree. Going to start by creating the armature out of some 10 gauge and 16 gauge armature wire. I do sell this wire on my website if you're interested, aceofclay.com. And we're just going to wrap the wire together until we got a tree shape. All right, we're gonna take a quick break from our video to talk about our sponsor, Squarespace. Now, I have been using Squarespace for almost 6 years now, even before they started sponsoring me, and I could not be happier with my experience. When you have a business like me or a portfolio, you've gotta have a website, and Squarespace takes all of the guesswork out when it comes to building one. It's easy, straightforward, the options are virtually endless, and they give you all the tools you need to succeed. I love the flexible website templates. I'm honestly updating my website at least once a week, and it could not be easier. All of the templates are professionally designed and have options for every use and category. You can customize your look, effortlessly update content, and add all the features to fit your needs. You can transform any template into your own to really stand out online or on any device. I also love how easy it is to have an online store with them. I can beautifully showcase all of my products so they stand out with images, videos, reviews, related products, add-ons, and more. The Squarespace commerce platform makes managing everything from inventory to sales and customers simple. You can even print shipping labels through Squarespace like I do to save time while fulfilling orders. And just recently, they've introduced Design Intelligence. This combines 2 decades of industry-leading design with cutting-edge AI technology to unlock your strongest creative potential. So what are you waiting for? Don't put off making that website any longer. Trust me when I tell you, Squarespace will have your back every step of the way. And you won't believe how easy it is to do, and it's gonna look awesome. Head on over to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, tell them Ace of Clay sent you by going to squarespace.com/aceofclay. This will get you 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Once the tree armature is complete, we're gonna cover it in clay, starting with the trunk. To make the clay stick to the wire very well, I brush on some Bacon Bond first. To make this look a little more interesting, I'm going to use some floral wire and create some really thin weeping branches. I'm just attaching these by wrapping it around each of the branches, embedding it into the clay, and then smoothing the clay over once I'm satisfied. Using my Explorer tool again, we're going to give it a nice bark texture. Now let's attach it to the base with some Bacon Bond and more clay. I'm really putting my trust into the Bacon Bond for this project because nothing is really secure on it. The clay is just kind of holding itself together, so fingers crossed this goes well in the oven. Now let's attach our pre-baked tombstone with, yes, you guessed it, some more Bacon Bond. And also you can see there I added some rocks here and there. Alright, the sculpting part is done. Let's go ahead and get this in the oven. Once everything's baked and completely cooled down, we're just going to assemble all of the mechanical elements again, make sure everything's working nicely before we move on to the next part. Now I'm just super gluing my ultralight shapes to that skewer, so when the skewer turns, they're going to push out of the fabric that I'm going to add. Now let's give it a spin. There we go, it's working. Alright, now let's start painting. I'm just using some folk art matte acrylics and I mixed together black and brown to get this nice dark brown shade, and we're going to paint the entire base this color and the tree. Once the base dark brown is dry, we're going to dry brush some lighter gray on top, like so, and then lighten it even more and add highlights here and there. Now let's paint our little rocks. For the tombstone, I'm just going to start with a nice base coat of dark gray. Now I'm going to highlight things by adding a lighter gray on top. Just dry brushing this on, focusing it on certain areas, making it look real nice. Now let's lighten that gray a little bit more and really start highlighting things. Now I'm going to add some shadows with a fine brush and some watered down black. Now for the fun part. I got some stretchy black fabric and I'm just seeing how it's going to look, and we're going to attach a small piece of it with some Fabri-Tac. I want to make sure that the fabric is as taut as possible. So I'm gluing on one side at a time, and then once it's dry, I will stretch it to the next side that I glue on. Now let's trim off the excess and then see if it worked. And it did. This will look way cooler once I get some dirt on this. For the next step, I'm going to brush on some white glue. This is actually wood glue. I don't know where my normal white craft glue is, but this works just as well. Dries nice and clear and matte. And we're going to add some flocking or static grass using our super safe high quality static grass applicator that you totally can't electrocute yourself with. So how this works is you're basically just sprinkling the grass on with it through the wire mesh in the top of it, and then you are adding an electric charge or a static charge that makes the little grass pieces stand straight up. The end result is really cool and professional looking, which is why I risk my life to do it every time. And if you can't tell already, we're going to give it a nice patchy lawn look. And I've mixed two colors of grass together, some dead brown with a nicer green shade. And again, nice and patchy and creepy. We're making a grave site, not a golf course. A creepy grave site. Now I'm just going to glue on some miniature fall leaves here and there. And this actually kind of makes it look pretty, which I don't love, but I don't hate it either. And I'm just going to keep adding leaves and static grass here and there until I'm happy. Now let's add a little bit of moss here and there to the tombstone. And then I don't show it here because I wasn't recording, but I do add some rock-like ground cover over the entire grave area so it looks like a freshly poured grave. So basically all that black you can see there on the grave is covered in this stuff. You'll see it in the final shots. Looking good. Now say it with me. And it's done! My breathing grave is complete. Let me know what you think of it in the comments. This was such a cool project. Who would have thought that just adding a tiny little motor to one of my sculpts would be so much fun. I love how this thing turned out. I think it's super cool. And honestly, I'm really glad that it worked. And I'm definitely not the most mechanically inclined person ever. So accomplishing something like this is a kind of a big deal. I definitely want to explore what else I can do with these little motors from Amazon. So stay tuned for more of that. And again, let me know what you think of this project in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for watching and being here. Be sure to grab your Winston keychain at aceofclay.com. Check out my Facebook group, Snakes of Clay. Join me on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok at Ace of Clay, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.